Tricksters, assassins, magicians, and holy warriors, oh my! Today we're talking about the Kitsune. Hello everyone, welcome to the Maple Table. My name's Nathaniel. This is a channel where we discuss role-playing games, so if that's something you're interested in, I would love to have you join me at the table. So please hit that subscribe button with that bell notification so that you know when my latest videos are available. The Kitsune are Werefoxes, and their history is deeply tied to that of the Eastern changing breeds. It is also well rooted within the War of Shame, which was the Eastern version of the War of Rage. I have talked a little bit about the War of Shame, and you can find it in this video up here, and I will also link it in the description below. Foxes in current day are very numerous, whether you're looking at them in North America or even in parts of Asia. If you look at the foxes coming from some of the Asian cultures and some of the Asian heritages, you will find that many cultures in Asia, many groups will revere the fox, thinking them almost magical, spiritual even. There are many temples set up to Inari. The Werefoxes are actually one of the younger changing breeds, if not the youngest. And while they don't necessarily have a specific goal or purpose as ordained by Gaia, she has promised to help them find it. This was one of 3 promises that Gaia made for the Kitsune. As the Kitsune legends go, Minaxi was actually the first of the Kitsune changing breeds. During the War of Shame and the War of Rage, as they were happening at the same time, Gaia was distraught, as any parent would be when your children are killing each other. It's not a good thing. The fox, it was fast, they were cunning, and they were very, very smart. And they avoided a lot of the War of Shame and the War of Rage. They just didn't participate. And they were actually quite selfish in that sense. They did not want to participate, nor did they care what happened to those warring factions or those warring tribes. Minaxi was one of the spiritual successors to the Kitsune, the first one to change. She moved through not only the physical realm, but the spiritual realm as well. And there she talked with spirits. She learned the gifts and she learned their wisdom to be able to use it for her own. And through this educational journey, this educational process that she went through, she was able to finally change her form and became the first of the Kitsune to change her shape, and then further to be able to make this change of shape whenever she wanted. Originally, the foxes were guided by the spirit Inari. This was the moon spirit. It was this moon spirit Inari that took Minaxi to see Gaia and to have her make a deal with Gaia. As I mentioned, Gaia was distraught about her children all killing each other, so she was looking to find someone to try to put a stop to this. Enter Minaxi. Just as a side note, I'm probably pronouncing the name wrong, but that's how I'm pronouncing it for the rest of this video, so if it's wrong, please let me know. Minaxi, by nature, was a trickster, as all foxes are. She was also a bit of a deceiver as well. In that first meeting with Gaia, as legend goes, Minaxi pleaded her case to Gaia and tried to sell the services of the Kitsune race to her as information gatherers, that they would provide them with secrets that she could not otherwise get. Gaia, being wise to the ways of many of her children, like the Corax or the Bastet, said that she already had this in place through them. In continuing her task to try to gain some favor with Gaia and have a better position at Gaia's court above the rest of the changing breeds, Minaxi attempted to make a bet with Gaia, one that she intended to cheat and win. But Gaia, and because of her children, the Nuisha, she was already wise to the ways of deceitful bets and cheating. So this did not work in Kitsune's favor. So Minaxi continued, attempting to still gain a favorable position in Gaia's court. This is just your gentle mid-video reminder that if you're enjoying this video today, to hit that like button and to subscribe to get more content like this from myself. You don't have to, but I would really appreciate it if you did. Knowing that all of her best tricks had failed, tried to make an arrangement in where she would prove that the Kitsune were valuable warriors. This is not actually true, But Gaia also had the Garou and the Garal for this purpose, so Gaia did not need warriors. So Baiminaxi at this point was upset because Gaia was asking for assistance and she was not able to deliver anything that she did not already have. And she pointed this out rather bluntly to Gaia, and Gaia did not appreciate that whatsoever. It was positioned in more of an insolent way. But through the counsel of Inari, Inari was able to calm Gaia down and have Gaia search the heart of Baiminaxi. Once Gaia had looked into the heart of Baiminaxi and had discovered that she is actually trying to find a place for herself, it was then that Gaia made 3 promises to the Kitsune. The first promise that was made, Gaia promised that the Kitsune would eventually be good at something someday. They would have their specialty. The second promise that Gaia made to the Kitsune was that they would survive the 6th age, and Gaia would ensure this. And lastly, if the Kitsune were to come under the counsel of Gaia and the obedience, she would one day in the future grant them back their freedom so that they could go back to being carefree and aloof. When the promises had been laid before Baiminaxi, she did accept. And that's how the Kitsune became part of Gaia's court. So the legends go. One distinction for the Kitsune is how powerful or how high up in rank and status they are, and this can be easily identified by how many tails they have. Kitsune can have multiple tails, and this will be determined by what their rank is. The lower the amount of tails they have, the lower their rank or status is. It is said that Baiminaxi was the only Kitsune to have 9 tails. So if you do run into one and they have more than 1 or even 3, you should probably pay that particular Kitsune some respect. It should also be said of the Kitsune, when they gain another tail, their potential lifespan doubles. And it doubles for each tail that they get. So some of the elder Kitsune could potentially be very old or live for a very long time. It is also said of the Kitsune that anyone who achieves the 9 tails status will effectively be immortal. This doesn't necessarily mean that they can't be killed with some blunt force trauma, or stabbed or shot, or whatever other creative ways you can think to end a life. It just means that they will not be able to pass away from old age once they achieve that status. The Kitsune are an interesting group when it comes to gatherings. They really try not to have them as much as possible. Some tribal gatherings are just something that has to happen, but for the most part, they don't like to get together. Numbers are very important for the Kitsune, specifically the numbers 1, 2, and 4, as this is how many Kitsune will typically travel in groups. They will travel individually, they will travel in a pair, or they will travel in a group of 4. In a group of 2, usually when they're out and exploring, one will stand watch, the other will sleep, and they will switch. The Kitsune believe that a group of 4 foxes is able to do something that no other group is able to do. When you have 4 Kitsune together, they're able to focus on the 4 things that they all enjoy doing. The group of 4 can coordinate to use their force, or their strength, their cleverness, and their magic together. They always say 4 heads are better than 1. One other thing to mention about the Kitsune is that they are slow healers. They do not have the same regenerative abilities that other changing breeds have, like the Garou, for example. In effect, bashing damage is just as deadly for them as lethal damage. And because of this, Kitsune are much less likely to engage in fights, because if you die easier, who wants to take that risk? The Kitsune and their kinfolk are also a cursed people, and I would say that this probably stems from their initial interaction with Gaia, courtesy of Baiminaxi. It is said that whenever a child is born to that of a full-powered Kitsune, the gift of that life must be paid for with another life. And typically what will happen in a scenario like this is it will be either one or both of the new kit's parents that will pass. Because of this and knowing this, in most cases, a Kitsune changing breed will only sire children with that of a kinfolk. It will not be done with 2 changing breeds. Giving birth to a kitsune is a supernaturally painful event. The kitsune and the other parent are actually linked supernaturally, and they will both feel or go through the experience and pains of that birth together. The birthing process is actually so painful that there's only a 1 in 10 chance that the mother will survive. Conversely, there's a 1 in 10 chance that the second parent will pass away during this process as well. So what happens if both parents survive the process or the ordeal? What happens to the curse? Should something like this happen, and the chance of that happening is very, very, very small, someone in the house, someone who is related to either of the parents, will instead suffer the effects, and they will pass. Someone always dies when a kitsune is born. I think the kitsune are an interesting race. I don't feel that they work in very well with the rest of the changing breeds or Gaia's children. They don't really have a place, and that's one of the things that's kind of mentioned in their history. Maybe if you're playing a kitsune, that's something that they're trying to figure out for not only themselves, but for their species. They're also heavily involved with the beast courts, the Henjioke, and I think that they would make a great ally to any party who is looking to experience the beast courts or have that sort of Asian flavor for your story. They would also make a great antagonist, as they are great tricksters and powerful magicians. Have you ever played a kitsune? Please tell me in the comments below if you have and what they were like. Up on the screen I will have a playlist of other changing breeds that I have covered, so please check that out. YouTube will have also made a recommendation it thinks you might like. My name's Nathaniel. You've been watching The Maple Table. Thank you so much for your subscription. Thanks for stopping by, everyone.